early July in Auckland, New Zealand, as 52 starters assemble for round 7 of the World Rally Championship. The entry total was down in numbers on previous years, but this was hardly surprising, considering the events surrounding the World Rally Championship in the previous rounds. Following the tragic accident in Corsica, changes were demanded to the running of World Championship rallies. A few months ago, FISA brought in some new regulations regarding World Rally Championships, and they affected the AWA Clarion Rally of New Zealand. What were the changes that you had to make because of those?
I started off the event with having 870 kilometres of special stage, and when FISA came out with the directive that we had to cut it down to 600, it meant we had to go out and replot the event to bring it down to in the 600 Ks. It also meant that no special stage was allowed to be over 30 kilometres long. So in our revamping the circuit, all the special stages, we had to go and try and keep the flow throughout the country the same, so that, you know, we weren't doing too much touring. But we managed to get it down to our 600 kilometres and the stages within 30 Ks, and I believe everyone's going to enjoy the event. It may be a little bit quicker than previous years, but it'll still be enjoyable.
Special Stage 1 was held in the grounds of the Auckland Domain. The field was headed by 1985 world champion Timo Salonen of Finland, driving a Peugeot 205 Turbo 16E2. Salonen won this event last year for Peugeot, and many were picking him as a likely winner. But he's had a bad season so far, with only a second placing at Monte Carlo. Of Finland led the 3-car Lancia assault on the event. For Lancia, the New Zealand rally was a critical one. They trailed Peugeot by 19 points in the World Manufacturers' Championship, and they had to win here to keep their title hopes alive. Marco Alén also was keen to win, as it had been over 2 years since he'd won a World Championship event. Juha Kankkunen was making his third appearance in the New Zealand rally. His 2 previous starts had ended in non-finishes for Toyota. Kankkunen began the event with a 19-point lead in the Drivers' Championship in his first season for Peugeot. He was keen to consolidate his position. Italian Massimo Biasian's entry was not confirmed until after the previous round at Acropolis, adding more strength to Lancia's challenge to Peugeot. All of his rallying had been confined to European events, being European champion in 1983. He came with a big reputation and at 28 years old has the makings of a future world champion. Mikael Eriksson was having only his second rally drive in one of Lancia's powerful Delta S4s. He was recruited to the works team following the tragic death of Lancia driver Henri Toivonen at Corsica. He was still coming to grips with the car. Malcolm Stewart led the New Zealand contingent. His entry was only confirmed at the last moment when the Audi dealers of New Zealand provided sponsorship. Reg Cook led a 2-car Nissan team. Cook drove the 240 RS used by Sheikha Mehta in the 1985 rally. Tony Teasdale's entry in a Metro 6R4 created much interest. Although running in essentially clubman specs, it was still expected to be a strong contender for the leading New Zealander title. Subaru entered a three-car works team of four-wheel drive RX turbos, with New Zealander Possum Bourne expected to mount a strong challenge for the Group A title. Sweden's Kenneth Eriksson, driving a Volkswagen Golf GTI, was also expected to go well in the race for the Group A title. He's currently leading the Drivers' Group A World Championship. Expatriate Rod Millen made a welcome return to New Zealand, now rallying his own developed Mazda RX-7 four-wheel drive successfully in the United States. He drove the Neil Allport prepared Group A Mazda 323 four-wheel drive. Austrian Rudi Stoll came to New Zealand with a Group A win at Acropolis. He blew the engine of his Audi 80 Quattro when it first started on arriving in New Zealand, and so ran the rally with a motor 60 horsepower less than planned. Neil Allport was quite spectacular through the Auckland Domain stage. After the public road stage in the Domain, the rally headed north with the second special stage in the Riverhead Forest. Kankinen set the early pace, opening up a 10-second lead over Alain's Lancia. The Group A battle was to be a close one all day. Possum Bourne set fastest time in his class in this stage and held a narrow 2-second lead from the Volkswagen GTI of Kenneth Eriksson. Rod Millen's Mazda was a further 1 second behind Eriksson. Stuart Eyre set the fastest time for local drivers, but his Mazda RX-7 expired before the end of the leg. Special Stage 4, and the battle for the lead continued at a hectic pace. Juha Kankinen came through second fastest and held a slender 1 second lead over Marco Alen. Alen took back 9 seconds on the stage from Kankinen and began a succession of fastest stage times. He broke Salinen's 1985 record for the stage by over 30 seconds. Timo Salinen was somewhat off the pace, being slowed by turbo problems. He held third equal place with Biasian 36 seconds behind Kankinen. Biasian settled into his role easily, letting the leaders charge ahead, yet maintaining a reasonable contact with them. Tony Teasdale had taken his Metro to the head of the local drivers, yet his lead was only 5 seconds from the Audi Quattro of Malcolm Stewart. Neil Allport also chased hard, being only 6 seconds behind Teasdale.
It's a 7 as well.
Reg Cook was plagued with gearbox problems and dropped back 39 seconds behind Teasdale. Ericsson set fastest time in Group A on Special Stage 4. He held a 3-second lead over Possum Bourne's Subaru. Special Stage 5, a short 7.8 kilometre stage, saw Alen grab the lead by 1 second. Kankinen kept the pressure on Alen and continued to open up a handy gap of 42 seconds on Biasian and 52 seconds on Ericsson. The battle for the leading New Zealander was just as close. Teasdale continued to lead, but only by 2 seconds from Stewart. Allport was just 1 second behind Stewart. Ericsson led Group A, but by only 1 second from Bourne. Alen set another fastest time on Special Stage 6, taking 14 seconds off the record. He now led Kankinen by 15 seconds. Only 3 seconds separated the leading New Zealanders. Stewart now led from Teasdale and Allport. With 3 longer stages ahead, Allport had problems with the dust from Stoll's Audi 80 Quattro. Stoll, however, had other problems. Graham Crawford also had problems. Jim Stewart also found the banks. A hasty service for Lancia at the end of Special Stage 6.
How's it gone so far, Marco?
Well, you know, this morning is going well, you know, I'm not having yet in technical problem and, you know, everything going well.
And you're leading at the moment?
Yes, I am leading now, you know, not too much, not many, but anyway, I'm leading now.
And you're quite confident of the roads ahead?
Yes, this road is good, you know, in here, and, you know, like I said before, I hope not coming technical problem like all rallies, other rallies this year for me.
Special Stage 8, and Alen was again fastest. His lead over Kankinen was still only 18 seconds. The Peugeots had problems with their soft compound tyres on the leg's latter stages, although this didn't seem to stop Kankinen from throwing the car around the twisty sections. For Timo Salinen, it has not been a good day. He was fourth, 1 minute 52 seconds behind the leader, but worse was to come. His Peugeot was hit by the Toyota of Japanese driver Yamaguchi on the touring section, the rear end being nearly demolished. Hasty roadside repairs got the car mobile again, but he lost 26 minutes in road penalties and dropped to 40th place. By the end of the leg, he'd got back 20 places. Malcolm Stewart continued to lead the New Zealanders, but was only 9 seconds in front of Tony Teasdale. Neil Allport was still third local driver, but now 1 minute 30 behind Stewart. He dropped back in the stage, losing over a minute while stuck on a fence he hit. Ericsson began to draw away in Group A, gradually increasing his lead as the leg progressed. On the 3 last stages of the leg, in the dark back to Auckland, he really wound it up and even beat all the Group B New Zealand cars on each stage. 1985 National Rally champion Brian Stokes was having a good day. Now driving a Group A Toyota Corolla, he was 16th overall. Service for the Lancia team at the end of what had been a hectic leg one.
I spoke to you early in the day. You felt quite happy with a small lead then. How do you feel now at the end of the first day?
Well, you know, I have a small electrical problem in before last stage, and that's been I played a little bit with Juha, but I am still leading, and I hope tomorrow is no technical problem like today in this electric problem.
The leaderboard at the end of leg one showed how close the battle for the lead had been. A Lens Lancia led by just 10 seconds over the Peugeot of Kankkunen, with the Lens Lancia teammates driving to instructions and holding third and fourth comfortably overall. The battle for leading New Zealander was equally as hectic. Malcolm Stewart's Audi Quattro led Tony Teasdale's Metro by only 12 seconds. And in the Group A chase, Sweden's Kenneth Eriksson had opened up a 43-second lead on Possum Bourne's Subaru. Leg one proved to be the most costly for retirements. Mark Jennings in the Subaru withdrew at the end of stage 2 with engine problems. Stephen Morris's Corolla was out after the first stage. Ken Adamson's Corolla blew a head gasket. Kenya's Frank Tundo rolled his work Subaru over a bank, and Yoshinori Yamaguchi of Japan withdrew his Corolla after 2 collisions, and Stuart Ayres' Mazda RX-7 was also out at the end of the leg. In contrast to the dust of day one, leg 2 began in very wet conditions with a short publicity stage around the Manukau City shopping centre before moving south into the Maramarua forest and 2 stages in there. After the forest stages and publicity stage, a Lens Lancia led the Peugeot of Juha Kankkunen by 11 seconds. Malcolm Stewart was fastest New Zealander on 9 of the first 14 stages of the rally. In the 11.5 kilometre second forest stage, though, Stewart spun and damaged the rear fuel lines of his Audi Quattro, and although he completed the stage, he had to withdraw. Tony Teasdale now became first New Zealander and 5th overall in the Metro. He was now a clear 2 minutes 30 ahead of the Nissan of Reg Cook. Leg 2 began sadly for the Subaru Works team and their chase for Group A honours. Following the death of one of the Japanese service crew after a motor accident late in Leg 1, instructions came from Japan for the team to withdraw from the rally. This left Kenneth Eriksson with a clear lead over the Mazda of Rod Millen. Although running down the field, Timo Salonen in the Peugeot was determined to get as close to the leaders as possible. By the end of this leg, he was 11th overall, but still over 31 minutes behind the leader. On special stage 16 at Hamilton's Mystery Creek, Juha Kankkunen finally broke a 2-year jinx by completing the stage without any problems, and even recorded fastest time in the process. Smith, driving the ex-Russell Brooks Opel Manta, found the agricultural complex a bit mysterious. Persistent rain made the Mystery Creek stage quite a challenge. Three short tarmac stages near Cambridge followed Mystery Creek, and on the first two, the three Lanciers were fastest. At the end of the second tarmac stage, Alain had opened up a lead of 17 seconds over Kankanen. Neil Allport began a determined charge on the leading New Zealander, Tony Teasdale. He was trailing Teasdale by 2 minutes 43, but was only 12 seconds behind Reg Cook. However, he was soon to catch Cook up. South Islander Brian Stokes held an impressive 11th place overall. He was over 20 minutes ahead of the next car in his class. Mr. Consistency, Ray Wilson, in his Starlet, was equally impressive at 13th overall and more than 12 minutes ahead of the next car in his class. Despite the atrocious weather conditions, some spectators didn't lose their enthusiasm. While they assembled at the end of the last tarmac stage, the rally action began 14 kilometres away. Kankanen set fastest time and closed the gap on leader Alain to 15 seconds. The wet conditions on the Mangataltari Road stage were a bit too tricky for Lancia's Mikael Eriksson. Tony Teasdale's Metro had wheel stud problems in this stage, and his handy lead was whittled down to just 31 seconds by the end of the leg. Neil Allport seemed to find his rhythm about now and started to record a series of quickest times amongst the New Zealanders. Davidson inherited third-placed local driver in this stage from Reg Cook when Cook's Nissan's electrics failed. Davidson actually stopped to help Cook in the stage, but still came out 10 seconds ahead. Kenneth Eriksson's Group A Volkswagen made easy work of the Group A race. He led Millen by over 3 minutes. Sensationally, in the last special stage of the leg, Juha Kankanen was 17 seconds faster than Alain. The two Finns went to the service break first equal.
You started the day 10 seconds behind Marco. Where are you now?
We are now 1 second behind him, and actually for day's work it's really nothing, 9 seconds.
And you're happy with the way the car's gone?
Yeah, we are really happy with the car. The problem today has been that the roads have been really slippery, and especially now in the night time it has been a little bit foggy. So it's difficult to find the braking points and things such as. But Marco has made us nice tracks in the forest, so it makes us a little bit easier.
What about tomorrow?
He's still making the track, so we try to enjoy it, and maybe we have to do something, not to just enjoy his tracks.
So you will attack tomorrow, do you think?
We'll see tomorrow when we wake up.
The race was equally as fierce for first place New Zealander Tony Teasdale, just ahead of Neil Allport.
Here we are, Tony, at the end of the second night. You started just behind Malcolm. Now you must be feeling pretty good.
Well, we always thought that we could catch Malcolm. This morning, though, in Maramarua 1, he went very fast. And, you know, we didn't quite have the right tyres today. They weren't quite suitable for the very muddy conditions. So we didn't want to take a risk. And then on the next one, it seems he overdid it somehow, so that, you know, care paid to our advantage in the end. So it's just a question of going fast enough, bearing in mind the condition of the car. Yeah. And if the car's fine, we'll be going real quick, and if we've got a problem, we'll just be cruising a bit. So it's pretty much under control at the moment.
The halfway point of the rally had an unprecedented situation in world rallying, a tie. Kankkunen and Alen were a clear 3 minutes 56 seconds ahead of Viasian and 6 minutes 12 in front of Mikael Eriksson. Tony Teasdale's lead for first local driver was 31 seconds from Neil Allport. During the day, Rod Millen closed the gap on Kenneth Eriksson in Group A, but was still 3 minutes 25 behind the Swede. There were only 3 withdrawals during Leg 2. The Subarus of Possum Bourne and Mike Kirkland, and the Malcolm Stewart Audi Quattro. Day 3 began as Day 2 had ended. Marco Alen and Juha Kankkunen recorded equal fastest time on the first stage of the day in the Rotoehu Forest. But in the longer 24-kilometre stage following, Kankkunen grabbed a slender 2-second lead. Began the leg in a determined manner, and after the 2 Rotoehu Forest stages was trailing Tony Teasdale by only 6 seconds. Throughout the previous 2 legs of the rally, Reg Cook had been plagued by problems, and these seem to continue. Timo Salonen started the day in 11th place, and with the Peugeot handling problems now sorted out, he set 4 fastest times on the day's 6 stages. Special Stage 23 in the Rotorua Forest provided plenty of rally viewing. Field, Kankinen had extended his lead over Alen to 14 seconds by the time they'd reached the start of Special Stage 26 in the Tarawera Forest near Kawarau. However, the organisers were forced to cancel this special stage when a forestry vehicle blocked the road. For Neil Alport, this was a lucky break. Early in the stage, he'd spun and got stuck and had to be pulled out by Rod Millen. The last stage of a shortened third leg was held in the Rerewhakaitu Forest. By this time, Mafu Alen was feeling the pressure of the day. He had little option but to attack, and that he did with a vengeance. Instructions to leader Kankinen were to take it easy through the ford for fear of damaging the car. Despite the cautious start, Kankinen set second fastest time, beating Alen by 2 seconds. However, Timo Salonen had his own ideas on handling the tricky water crossing. He set fastest time on the stage, 8 seconds faster than rally leader Kankkunen.
Car coming.
This special stage was the turning point in the rally for Neil Allport. He beat Teesdale by 38 seconds and moved into a handy lead as first New Zealander. Paddy Davidson continued to make steady progress. He was 9th overall, 3rd New Zealander, 58 seconds ahead of teammate Cook. The approach to the ford was varied. Some negotiated it successfully, others did not.
You reckon that's Commodore territory?
That was a good stage, actually.
Yeah, that's good.
It's a bloody beauty.
For Neil Allport back in Rotorua at servicing, it was a notable occasion. It was the first time in 5 international rallies that he'd entered that he'd finished the 3rd division.
Neil, you're leading New Zealander at the end of day 3. How do you feel?
Very good, actually. You know, it's been a funny sort of a day, one way or the other, and we started out good this morning and we were quite happy, and then it stopped, stage cancelled, and things went a bit flat, and the next stage after we had a bit of an off just at the start of the stage. It settled me a bit, but I went into the last stage, tried some new tyres on the back, and I was very fortunate to come out of there with a good stage time. And so we're very happy, and I think very comfortable for tomorrow. I think hopefully tomorrow will be a good day.
You started the day equal with Marco. Now you've got a small lead. Are you pleased with the day?
Yeah, I'm very pleased because everything went well and we beat Marco in every stage today. 21 seconds, it's not much, but it's lead anyway, and it's good to start for tomorrow front than not 21 seconds behind.
Do you think, will there be any difference being the first car on the road as to the last days when you've been behind Marco?
I don't think so, that there is not so many big difference. I think tomorrow most of the stages I hope will be quite dry, so then it doesn't matter so much. But if it's raining or something, then there is muddy places, and if you are first car on the road you can't see those much, and then it's a little bit more how you say, dangerous or slippery.
Do you think the stages tomorrow will suit your car?
I think the first two stages, they are quite fast. So they are good for Lancia also, I think. But after Vaitomo, there is 3 stages, long ones, and very twisty, so I think those are good for us.
Will you be going flat stick tomorrow, or?
Not flat, but if you, how you say, 99.5%.
With one leg remaining, Juha Kankkunen held a 21-second lead over Marco Alen's Lancia, with a further 6 minutes 27 back to third place, Massimo Biasian. Fourth place was held by Mikael Eriksson, 9 minutes exactly behind the rally leader. Neil Orport was to start the final day, 29 seconds ahead of Tony Teasdale. In Group A, Kenneth Eriksson was 3 minutes 56 in front of Rod Millen. There were 2 retirements from Leg 3. David Thexton's Mazda blew a diff, and the Toyota Starlet of Tetsuo Sano of Japan drowned in the Ford. The final leg of the rally took the cars through the Puriora forest on their way back to Auckland. Marco Alen and Lancia knew that the early stages would decide whether they had any chance of closing the gap on Kankkunen's Peugeot on this last day. Kankkunen simply flew the stage, taking 25 seconds off Alen. Alen could only manage third fastest time, even losing 14 seconds on the stage to Salinen's Peugeot. For Reg Cook, the problems continued. He was down on his luck and his rim after having punctured 7 kilometres into the stage. Cook lost nearly 3 minutes to Neil Orport, who continued to lead the local drivers. The next stage was a 27-kilometre stage south of Takawiti.
First car through.
Alen continued to drive hard. Despite his best efforts, he was making no impression on Kankkunen, continuing to lose time with each kilometre. Salinen kept battling. He set a series of second fastest times, yet knew that one of the Lancias ahead would need to drop out if he was to improve on his 5th placing. For Kankkunen, the morning had gone to plan.
How's the morning gone, Juha?
Oh, quite all right. We have been fastest on these third stages and so it's been a nice morning for us.
What's the difference now to Marco?
1 minute, 1 second.
And you're going to keep going flat?
No, we are not, I think, going flat, but 95.
95 now. It was 99 and a half last night.
Yes, and now it's 95.
Now 95.
Yeah.
You feeling confident?
Yeah, quite all right.
That's good. Good luck.
Thank you.
As the cars headed into the rally's longest special stage, Kankanen had to do little else but keep going. Marco Alen reflected on the morning's battle.
Well, not so good. Juha is going very well, and Juha now taking super time, in first and second stage this morning, and that means I am far away with Juha now.
You got any chance of catching him?
Okay, we will see after this stage, but after may be difficult, I don't know why. It's maybe too much weight in road or something. Car is anyway, I go flat, but time is very bad.
Try as he may, his Lancia could not match the speed of the Peugeots. On the first 6 stages of the final leg, he had to be content with third fastest time. Massimo Biasian did everything asked of him by Lancia. Although unable to match the pace of the 2 leaders, he had kept his car going to the end. He was 8 minutes down on Kankanen. Sweden's Mikael Eriksson made a promising showing in only his second drive in the Delta S4. His 4th placing overall was a solid performance and showed he had much potential in the future. Neil Allport had shown a new maturity in his driving. He set fastest local time on this stage. For Allport's nearest rival, Tony Teasdale, special stage 31 ended his challenge for first place New Zealander. A stone lodged between the disc and caliper on a rear wheel cost him 54 minutes in penalties. Teasdale's problems promoted Paddy Davidson to second New Zealander, although over 8 minutes down on Allport. Kenneth Eriksson's faultless and impressive drive in the Volkswagen gave him an easy Group A victory over Rod Millen in the 4-wheel drive Mazda 323.
Your first time in New Zealand and first in Group A, you must be pretty pleased.
Yeah, I'm very happy for my result, and I'm very happy.
And your position in the World A Championship looks pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Coming back to New Zealand?
I hope so next year.
Good luck, well done.
Wayne Pittams in a Subaru RX Turbo started the rally in 29th place and finished in an impressive 14th place despite losing 13 minutes of penalties on day 1. Just in front of Wayne Pittams was the trusty Ray Wilson Toyota Starlet, finishing another international with a high placing. As the rally's 2 final stages were completed in the Maramarua Forest, some didn't seem to want to complete the event. However, Tony Ornstein did finish. Marco Alen gained a consolation fastest time on the rally's final special stage. However, the margin between him and winner Kankanen was 1:40.
Here we are, Marco, at the end of what's been quite a hard rally for you.
Yes, in good fight, but you not win. That means I am not so happy, but in second is second and first is first. That's a difference, big.
But what about the rest of the season now for yourself and for Lancia?
Well, it's coming difficult.
Yes.
But everybody go now in Argentina, and after Argentina looking how it's going, but it's not so easy.
Juha Kankanen's victory consolidates Peugeot's position in this year's World Championship for makes, as well as Kankanen's in this year's Drivers' Championship.
Congratulations, Juha. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Well done. It's been a good day for you.
Fantastic day and fantastic 4 days, I can tell you, when we had never have had this kind of competition before. And Markku make it really fantastic.
It's been a real rally all the way through for 4 days.
Real rally and that was good.
Yeah. So this must make you a little bit happier for the World Championship now?
For sure, I mean, get some points more and it makes Perso happier also, I think, because there were 3 Lancias pushing behind it.
What a waste of good mowing, isn't it? Well, there he is, car number 3, the overall winner, Johan Karkkonen, Johan Clarion from Finland. And of course, it was
With recent FISA regulations for future World Championship rallies, it's the last we'll see of Group B supercars in New Zealand. What a dramatic last 4 days they've been.